Welcome to the MMAnews.com podcast, powered by Pony Cake Sports, with your hosts, Josh Stevens and Tim Thompson. Woo!
Hey there, everybody. We are back with another episode. And as always, I'm joined by Tim Thompson. Tim, how's it going?
I am fantastic. Just got done watching the Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series, and it was interesting. Some good decisions, some bad decisions. Is what it is. Let's we can talk about that a little bit here if you want.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about first the UFC card that just happened, and it was UFC 226. Headlined by Stipe Miocic versus Daniel Cormier. But top to bottom, Tim, and we were talking back and forth and pretty much the whole day about this card. It was stacked.
It was?
Top to bottom. You look at it, Dan Hooker versus Gilbert Burns. We have Curtis Millender versus Max Griffin. That was a good fight as well. Drakkar Klose looked fantastic in that fight. I actually, before the fight started, I picked Lando to win, but Klose, man, he looked very dominant in that fight against Lando.
Yeah, it was a very stacked card. It's one of those where even the early fights, Emily Whitmire versus Jamie Moyle. Emily Whitmire. Did you watch any of it? Did you hear?
I did not get to see that fight. That's the only fight.
Did you hear about anything that happened?
No.
So apparently, Vinny Magalhaes, who you know,
yeah,
was in the UFC at one time. He's one of the coaches for Emily Whitmire.
Okay.
And apparently, pre-fight, there was an agreement that Vinny would not corner either fighter because Vinny also was a coach of Jamie Moyle.
Okay.
And apparently last minute, Magalhaes showed up in the corner of Moyle. So
in the corner of Moyle?
Yeah.
Wow.
So when Whitmire gets on the mic post-fight, it was a decision win. People were like, oh, whatever, great win, but not a big deal. She was all about just fuck Vinny Magalhaes.
Really?
For doing what he said he wouldn't do, and torching him. And then even in the back afterwards, F him. He told me he wouldn't corner either of us, and he was here in her corner. So my understanding is that Magalhaes has been a coach of Moyle since Moyle started in the sport, and that's why it ended up that way. But Whitmire was more just upset that she didn't know. She wasn't informed that this was how it was going to go down, which made it awkward for her. And, but outside of that, Curtis Millender gets the big win over Max Griffin. And one of the most impressive performances of the night coming on UFC Fight Pass, Dan Hooker gets the win over Gilbert Burns. And not only that, gets the impressive first-round finish due to punches. This is win number, 4 in a row for him. Undefeated through 2017 and 2018. Last loss coming in 2016, November of 16 against Jason Knight. And that was a decision loss.
So. And it wasn't long ago either that Dan Hooker called out a fellow fighter on the card, Paul Felder, who fought Mike Perry later on in the night.
I honestly think now Mike Perry versus Dan Hooker is the fight to make. Could you imagine?
That'd be interesting.
And it's an unbelievable fight, in my opinion. That's perfect. It's technique versus power.
Yeah.
You may not want it because you might want to build each guy up, but I don't know. Going back to what your original question was, Drakkar Klose, friend of the show, against Lando Venata. Fantastic fight, back and forth. But no, Klose did what he had to do. He went out there, he took care of 15 minutes, and Venata's more... it's more, he is what we thought he was. Flashy guy who, when it comes down to the grind it out and win a tough decision, so far he's not able to do that. He's proven that he's not that guy yet.
The only thing, though, with the Dan Hooker and Mike Perry, I don't think that would happen unless if Hooker went up in a weight class, correct? Hooker is a lightweight.
Yeah, Hooker is a lightweight. Perry's been Perry's obviously
He's a welterweight.
170 as well. But I was talking about. I did say that to be fair. When you were talking about Felder, I was thinking Felder's at naturally at 155.
Felder moved up,
and he went up to 170. So probably won't happen. To be fair, but
would you like to see Hooker versus Felder?
To be honest, no, not right now. Coming off of a loss after stepping up, Felder's in a weird spot. When I was at 225, I was able to talk to Felder there, and he understands his position.
Yeah,
he understands that this is kind of the tail end of his career. He has the broadcasting gig on the back end, and I truly do believe that he feels like he knows he could just fall back on that at this point. If he wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want to. He needs to get a mid-range fight right now at 155 and try to quickly build his stock back up. The problem is it was a tough fight against Perry. He was cut up. He had to get stitches afterwards. He went to the hospital afterwards. There's a lot more to it.
Rafael Alonso versus Rob Font. Alonso looked really, really good, and he is on quite a tear in the UFC. I believe he's 11-1 in the UFC right now, but he, like Dana White alluded to after the fight, he disappeared for some time. His last loss was to TJ Dillashaw, and I actually thought Rob Font actually looked really good as well. He looked pretty impressive. He was on the losing side of this, but what is next for Rafael Alonso?
It should be one of the best in the world. I mean, I just don't get how people can argue what he has
accomplished.
What he's accomplished. I mean, that's his fourth win in a row as well. His last loss comes against current UFC champion TJ Dillashaw. You go back. I mean, if the last name on his resume wasn't Matthew Lopez, I truly believe that Assunção would be the next guy. If Moraes was the last name, or Sterling for that matter, instead of Lopez, that Assunção would have gotten that call over Cody Garbrandt to get that title shot. It didn't happen that way.
Do you think they make him fight one more time before a title shot?
Who? But who? That's the question. Like there's literally no one else for him to fight.
If you look at the rankings,
for him to do.
Yeah, if you look at the rankings, there's it goes on according to UFC's website. You have T.J. Dillashaw, Cody Garbrandt, Dominic Cruz, Rafael Alonso, Marlon Moraes, Jimmy Rivera, John Lineker, John Dodson, Sterling.
The only fight I'm interested in seeing if he's healthy and if it's quick. So I know we saw this guy's injury still full in effect, but a Dominic Cruz versus Rafael Assunção for a number one contender fight?
Yeah.
That's what I want. That's what it should be. If not, then I guess put Rafael Assunção against Jimmy Rivera. But what good does that do? I mean, unless you're going... So, I'm UFC matchmaker. This is what I'm doing. Cody Garbrandt and TJ Dillashaw are fighting for the title.
Yep.
I'm trying to match up Dominic Cruz versus Rafael Assunção for the number one contender spot. That's what I'm doing. If I can't do that, I'm trying to match up Rafael Assunção versus Marlon Moraes for the number one contender spot. And I'm trying to match up Dominic Cruz versus Jimmy Rivera at the end of the year.
I would agree with that.
That's
probably what would make the most sense in my opinion.
It all comes down to Cruz's health. Cruz isn't healthy enough to fall, then push him to the end of the year against Jimmy Rivera and let Assunção and Moraes battle it out for the number one contender.
Paulo Costa versus Uriah Hall.
My goodness gracious.
I'm going to tell you this. Those body shots, those were something else. I'm also going to come out and say Uriah Hall took those and he battled through those shots. And actually, this is probably the best I've seen Uriah Hall look since he was on The Ultimate Fighter.
Uriah Hall and I have had our differences.
Yeah.
Do not see eye to eye on a lot. With that said, once I saw the beating that he was taking, I truly was pulling for him.
Yeah.
I truly hope that he was going to be able to turn it around. It kind of played out the way that I thought it would. Costa was able to take whatever Hall had, and
those were some great left jabs that he had.
He is just so much bigger.
He's a monster
for that weight class at 185 pounds. I just don't know. You know, when I went back even after that fight and thought, man, he's just even when looking. Uriah Hall's always been a big dude.
Yeah.
Looking at them matching up, Paulo is way bigger. Like not even close. The closest I can come to an Anthony Johnson-esque frame.
Okay.
Where you're like, this guy should not be in this division. But he's 27 years old.
Yeah.
He has shown no signs of any issues.
Yeah, no weight cut issues.
No weight cut issues, nothing. Let it ride. People, you see all the tweets, the social media stuff. Is he clean? Is he this? Is he that? You know what? This fight was in America.
Yeah.
I get that his fights previous were in Brazil. But what I have noticed is that most times guys who struggle with, with any type of PEDs or whatever, when they come to America, they also then struggle making weight.
True.
Polo had none of that. So my fingers are crossed that after, listen, when he beat up Johnny Hendricks in November, everything was good. Second time in a row, fight here in America. You see in his post-fight interviews, he's trying to learn English. Mm-hmm. What it seems like to me is this is the next Brazilian superstar. That's what it seems like to me. He seems like a monster for the division, but he also seems like the just perfect next middleweight superstar. He's a beast. He's dominated people, and I really hope to see him get a big step up in his next competition.
Bringing that up there, he has not. I don't know if he's officially called him out, but I know that the name is thrown around. Chris Weidman.
That was thrown out there. I honestly don't think that the UFC would do it.
Then what do you think about a David Branch?
That you hit the nail on the head. That's it. I know David Branch has been out there calling out Jacare left and right.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So be it. If Paulo Costa cannot get one Chris Weidman, it's out there. Gastelum is getting Whitaker for the title. Not sure what they're going to do with Weidman, but I don't feel like that they're going to use Weidman. Listen, Weidman's not old yet. I think he's 31. I don't have it in front of me. I think he's 31. Having him fight Costa right now does nothing. If anything, it just eliminates a contender. Have David Branch and Paulo Costa fight for essentially top 5, either that or Derek Brunson.
Yeah, I was going to say Derek Brunson's there as well.
Brunson's another guy who's been out there just, campaigning for that. If Paulo Costa can go out there and get another dominant victory, that immediately catapults him to the top 5, and one win outside of that makes him a title contender.
Yeah, I think I think we're reading each other's minds here. You fight a David Branch or a Derek Brunson, most likely David Branch probably out of the two. And if he dominates David Branch in such fashion, maybe he does get his fight with Chris Weidman, and then maybe we are talking about a Paulo Costa in the title picture.
Yeah, it's going to be real interesting to see how the UFC actually allows this to play out. We've heard Luke Rockhold's going up to light heavyweight. Now, recently, that Yoel Romero is going to move up to light heavyweight. So that's 1 and 2 in the UFC's official middleweight rankings, moving up. So after that, you have Chris Weidman and Kelvin Gastelum. Gastelum's going to get the title shot against Whitaker. You have Weidman, and then after that, Jacare, Brunson, Branch, Tavares. Tavares just lost. Expect him to move down. and Costa just lost or just beat Uriah Hall. So, I mean, when you're looking at it, I think they do it normally it's on Tuesdays, I thought, but you have Robert Whitaker. Even if you keep Yoel Romero at 1, you have Chris Weidman at 2, Kelvin Gastelum at 3, Jacare at 4, Derek Brunson at 5, and then David Branch at 6, Costa at 7. So that next fight, like I said, it sets them up.
It does. I think it would make all the sense in the world to make that fight happen. So
another friend of the show, Elias Theodorou, quickly approaching that top 10 status.
Yeah, very true. Moving on to the next fight. Gokhan Saki. What is happening? Khalil Roundtree comes out and just destroys him in 1 minute and 36 seconds. Khalil Roundtree looked phenomenal in that 1 minute and 36 seconds.
So, can I tell you, honestly, I was more disappointed in myself. I did my staff predictions for MMAnews.com, and listen, 50-50 hindsight. The entire time, I'm like, this is a prototypical underdog dominates the veteran at his own game. This is like, it just makes too much sense. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't pull the trigger. Shame on me. Shame on me for not just doing what was in my heart. I predicted Saki as a TKO winner in the first round, and it was the opposite way. Khalil Roundtree did exactly what he had to. And beyond that, what I never would have predicted is Khalil Roundtree beat Saki at his own game.
Yeah, exactly.
Went out there and just was extremely impressive. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to try to justify. I'm not going to try to put any opinion to it. Khalil Roundtree went out there and beat Gokhan Saki at his own game. With that said, Gokhan Saki should only be used as a gimmick fight right now.
Yeah.
That's it.
Who would you match him up against?
He's light heavyweight.
Yeah.
Gokhan Saki versus Sam Alvey.
I was gonna say Roundtree versus Sam Alvey.
Yeah,
Roundtree isn't in the top 15. Sam Alvey is.
He's not, but then, all right, do this. If you're going to do Roundtree versus Alvey, that's fine. Give me Saki versus Dominic Reyes.
Okay.
Another kickboxer, has impressive head kick knockout. That's what I'd like to see.
Yeah, I would like to see Roundtree versus Sam Alvey. Somebody in that top 15. You look at somebody like Tyson Pedro. He's already fought Tyson Pedro. He's lost to Tyson Pedro back in 2016. He's beat Daniel Jolly and Paul Craig. Now Gokhan Saki. Give him somebody in the top 15. Obviously not Pedro, but I think Sam Alvey would be a good matchup for him right there.
Can we talk about the next fight?
Let's go and talk about the next fight. Anthony Showtime Pettis versus Mike. What is his nickname? Maverick Chiesa. Mike Chiesa missed weight for this. While he was on the scale, he said that this will be the last time at 155, and then being Mike Chiesa, he came out and said, well, maybe it's not the last time at 155. But I'm going to tell you this, man. Anthony Pettis looked phenomenal.
Can I go off, maybe preach for a minute?
Go ahead.
We'll start with number one, saying, Anthony Pettis, you are absolutely right. This is the best that he ever looked since being champion.
Yeah.
This just proved he never should have gone down to 145.
Correct.
He needed to stay where he was. He needed to just continue down that path and go try to reclaim his throne. I'm going to hold off judgment till 2 fights from now.
Okay.
His next fight should be a top 5 guy, and the fight after that should be a number 1 contender spot, realistically, if everything plays out the way that he wants.
Yeah, you look at Anthony Pettis in the UFC rankings. He was ranked number 12. Just beat Michael Chiesa, who was ranked number 9. Nathan Diaz not doing anything the last couple of months. Justin Gaethje, is he supposed to fight anybody coming up?
Yeah, he's fighting. I can't remember who, but yeah, he's fighting.
Oh, he's fighting James Vick.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Which is going to be an awesome fight as well. A number 11 versus 7. James Vick, his tweet about it was awesome. Said he finally gets to kick that punching bag.
Yep.
Gaethje. So, James Vick makes me laugh. But Anthony Pettis, though, he's moving up that ranking right there. It's very interesting on where he's going to go.
So, going full circle, when I saw Anthony Pettis at 225, I'll be honest, he seemed a bit bloated. He seemed big.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the consensus throughout MMA people who were there. He just seemed big. It seemed like, and listen, I'm not mocking him. I'm really not. But it seemed like he wasn't like he was enjoying life. He seemed like he was closer to 170. Like he was having to cut to 170.
Yeah.
And he was having to cut 155. This fight made me just be like, he needs to be back on a Wheaties box. It did. He was that impressive. And
to choke him out.
Huh?
And to choke him out, of all people.
To choke him out, to beyond that, Michael Chiesa, I picked him to win the fight.
Yeah.
I thought that this was his time. I thought even with the missing of the weight, that he saw the writing on the wall. This is hard for me to say, but I am a big Michael Chiesa fan, a big Michael Chiesa supporter. For him to not only get on the scale, miss weight, have the reaction that he did.
Yeah.
After all the Conor McGregor talk throughout the week, and then now still afterwards, go through about I'm going about legal proceedings and legal this. I'm sorry, you're embarrassing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That is embarrassing. It's not like you've gone out there. It's not like you've done what you needed to do. This is your weight class. This is your life. How are you going to go out there and act all high and mighty like something was taken from you and you can't even make... Listen, I know nothing about the law. I know nothing at all. I'm not going to preface it like I do. But if I'm the defense attorney for Conor McGregor, I'm saying you are scheduled to fight Anthony Pettis on this day, and the reason you're here is you're accusing me for taking something from you, for taking a title shot from you, when your very next fight,
you
cannot even make the non-championship weight of 156 pounds, and the judge will say, dismissed.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That is embarrassing. You are embarrassing yourself. Michael Chiesa, I love you. I truly... You are a warrior. You battle unbelievably. If the UFC does not create a 165-pound division, move up to 170 and bite your tongue about Conor McGregor. It didn't work out the way that you wanted it to. Too bad. Grow up and get over it.
Do you think he will move up in weight classes now? You look at... No. You look at the last two fights, Kevin Lee and Anthony Pettis.
Nope. I truly don't. I don't care what he said on Ariel Helwani's show.
He gassed hard in this fight too.
He did. Michael Chiesa is the prime example. This is terrible, but I love the meme or the GIF. I don't know if you saw it. Do you remember Roy Nelson?
Mm-hmm.
It's a picture. This is how the GIF is set up. Remember Roy Nelson? It's a picture of him standing there like this, and this is what he looks like now. It's Michael Chiesa after his weight cut, and then they do like that's a joke of it, but
yeah.
Michael Chiesa is the prime example. The 185 to 170 division is the prime example of why weight cutting needs to be more highly monitored.
I agree.
Michael Chiesa should never be in that division. He is having to cut drastic amounts. He said himself the fact that the UFC or USADA or any athletic commission ever from this point forward allow Michael Chiesa to attempt to cut to lightweight is a joke. He came out and said on the show, Ariel Helwani's show, I felt like I was going to die.
Yeah.
And then he continued, not a joke, no. I literally thought I was going to die trying to get down to 155 pounds. That's how much money talks to people.
Yeah.
It's a joke. They should not leave it to the fighters. What are fighters doing? They're spending their lives, dedicating their lives to fighting. This isn't a knock on Michael Chiesa. He's trying to make a life for himself. He's probably only got 5 to 6 years at best left in this sport. The sport of MMA, the organization, the UFC, and the athletic commission is failing him right now.
Yeah.
That's what it is. They are failing him.
Yeah, it's very disheartening when you do hear those type of things coming from that actual fighter. It's just, I don't know. It's just, like you said, the whole weight cutting issue, the weight classes, it needs to have some sort of a change. And if that is 10-pound increments, going from 35, 45, 55, 65 all the way on up, or if it is just going from, 35, 45, 55, 65, 75, 85, 205, then it's a little different.
The combination of that fight and then the very next fight, Mike Perry, who's a 170er.
Yeah.
Top 12 at least, if not top 10. And Paul Felder,
yeah,
legitimate top 10 155er, is proof, 100% proof. The UFC does not care about the health of their fighters.
Yeah.
They don't. I love everyone at the UFC. It's what I want to watch. It's everyone there. I love them. This just proves they don't care. They don't. Michael Chiesa should never even have been allowed to fight in that fight.
Let's go ahead and talk about the Mike Perry and Paul Felder fight. Split decision win for Mike Perry. I don't think it deserved a split decision. I think it was pretty unanimous in my opinion. I think it was 29-28. That's how I had it scored. But I think it's the best controlled Mike Perry that we've ever seen. Mike Perry usually goes in there like a bat out of hell, swinging for the fences, wanting to knock people out. Mike Perry looked very controlled under the new coaching that he's got going on. I don't think it is the most I shouldn't say most complete. I don't think he's there yet. I think he's got a lot of work to do still, but definitely controlled and composed.
Paul Felder has been strung along like a desperate ex-girlfriend by the UFC throughout. I said this before. I said this since the last two times his last two opponents have been pulled to fill other fights. It's essentially the UFC saying, hey, we're pulling your fight. And when he gets upset about it, it's, well, we got that side gig, that announcing job for you. It's a battle of what's next for Felder versus what's right now.
Yeah.
It's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. Felder is being strung along, and he is essentially, in my opinion, forced into this fight with Perry, and he loses. How in the world do you allow a veteran who's 15-3, who's on a 3-fight winning streak, all by knockout in your lightweight division, who is on the precipice of fighting for a title, and say, hey, sorry, the guy you're about to fight, L.A. Quinta, he's out. He's got to go fight Habib. Oh, hey, sorry, James Vick, who you thought you were actually going to fight at Fight Night 133, potentially, you knock him out. You have a strong case.
Yeah.
To at least be in the top 3, top 4. No, he's gonna go. He's gonna go fight someone else now too. Instead, you have to move up a weight class, and we're doing you a favor. Don't worry, you don't have to cut anything. I know it's against Justin Gaethje, the bigger, show there. You get to fight a super tough guy in Mike Perry, someone who could potentially have career-changing knockout power on you. And hey, best of luck to you. If you win, I guess we'll figure it out from there. If not, back of the line. It's exactly what happened.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's a joke. It's not tough. It's a fucking joke. I'm mad about it.
I totally agree with you.
I'm extremely mad about it because Felder deserves better than that.
He does.
I'm not taking anything away from Perry. This is a huge win for Perry. This name on his record is
regardless of weight class,
is phenomenal for him. This is a joke.
And Paul Felder is a very, very, very big 155er, but he's not. You could tell he's not a 170. You could tell that. Well, at the same time, Mike Perry is a very small 170, so they look pretty comparable. But there's definitely a size advantage in Mike Perry's favor.
And you've never had 155 issues from Paul Felder?
Yeah.
That's where he's been. A constant professional who's been
mistreated,
punished for being a company guy.
Yeah.
You are why the UFC has anti-company people who are willing to just go fight nobodies and make whatever type of money, people who are willing to just go anywhere else. This is the reason why. Mike Perry, Paul Felder.
Where does Mike Perry go from here?
Perry is when he called out Donald Cerrone. He called out who's the guy who was originally supposed to fight? Not Brad Tavares. Goodness gracious. Whatever. Mike Perry called out a couple people. I think it was 4 people in total. With that said, I would love to see Mike Perry versus Donald Cerrone.
Yeah.
Right now. I feel like that is the fight to make. Cerrone coming off of a loss. Perry coming off of a win. But now's the time. I feel like their paths are crossing at the perfect point. It's either a changing of the guard, Perry moves on, or it's a Cerrone's still here. Only issue with that, where did Perry just spend a little bit of his camp?
Yeah.
Jackson Wink. Same place that Donald Cerrone trained. So it'll be interesting to see, but yeah, I think Mike Perry versus Donald Cerrone is the fight to make.
And moving on to our next fight, we have the slugfest of Derek Lewis versus Francis Ngannou.
Hot garbage.
Yeah, that was a disaster, Tim. Is that the worst heavyweight fight you have ever seen, or is there another one that you have?
There's been quite a few bad heavyweight fights, in all honesty.
Let me ask you this: regardless of how bad the fight was, how bad it was compared to expectations?
Oh, compared to expectations, it's a trillion.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be an amazing fight, and it was hot garbage. It was one of those fights where I was with people who weren't necessarily MMA fans, and I said, I had the Perry Felder fight on. I was like, there's going to be blood.
Yeah.
There was a little bit, but not enough to make non-MMA fans happy. So I said, okay, motherfuckers. That wasn't what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
But I have 2 of the biggest, baddest, meanest heavyweights about to go down. And that happened. It was like, my goodness, what?
It's embarrassing.
It was.
Yeah.
It really was. Now, it was embarrassing, but I don't hold it against either fighter. And it's not like kissing their ass. It's Ngannou just came out. Ngannou, so extremely young at this sport, and just came off the biggest fight of his career.
Yeah.
Where he was taken down nonstop. You had to expect that he was going to be tentative throughout. Combine that with the fact that Derek Lewis, I'm sure, was watching nothing but highlights of Francis Ngannou knocking Alistair Overeem's head to Mars.
Yeah.
this is what happens in MMA. Sometimes the vicious combination adds up to greatness. Other times it adds up to tentativeness, and that's what we had here.
Yeah, it's I was watching. I had to turn the volume off. Just listening to the crowd booing the whole time, I just couldn't do it. And rightfully so. The crowd had a right to boo. It was just
got you through like 11 strikes.
I think it was like 21 total and connected on 7.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's rough.
We're moving on. Main event. Daniel Cormier versus Stipe Miocic for the heavyweight title. And I'm going to tell you this. Back in January, we discussed this. I tweeted this out at the January 26th. And we talked about Daniel Cormier and the possibility of him fighting Stipe Miocic.
We did.
And I asked you a question. And the question was, if Daniel Cormier wins this fight, is he considered one of the best ever? And if he won this fight, and if he would have stayed at heavyweight the entire time, would he be considered the greatest heavyweight of all time? It's a bunch of what ifs, but...
And I believe I said then,
yeah,
which I will say now, if he stayed at heavyweight, yeah, he very well could have been the greatest of all time. Not only heavyweight.
But now that he's got 2 titles, do you consider him one of the top 3 all-time fighters?
I know I should. I feel.
Do those 2 losses to John Jones still
they
linger over his head?
They do. Like, I hate it. I hate it. Like, I love the fact. My favorite part about Daniel Cormier is that he acknowledges his situation.
Yeah.
You heard him say on Saturday night during the post-fight press conference that regardless of anything about John Jones, Jones can't take anything away from this title. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
I love the fact that he acknowledges that, you know what, the light heavyweight title might be, whatever, but Jones can't take anything away from this. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what to say right now. I put Cormier right in that GSP Anderson Silva type of era, but it'd be the back of that era. I have never. This is what I feel like MMA people are refusing to say. I have never, ever truly seen Daniel Cormier as the UFC light heavyweight champion. So I only acknowledge him as a one-time champion. Like the whole 2-time champion stuff, it's not real. It's all fabricated. If you go back and look at how it all transgressed, none of it is real. You can say it's because of cheaters. You can say it's because of this. It's because of that. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You want to sit there and point fingers and say, hey, I've only lost to cheaters. Well, you know what, motherfucker? There is video of you pushing down on a towel to make weight, and you laughed it off. I love Daniel Cormier. Facts are facts. There's just as equal amount of... it's on you.
Yeah.
All around.
Looking at his resume of fighters that he has fought, it is some of the premier names
in heavyweight division.
In MMA in general. Heavyweight division, he's fought some really, really good guys.
Studs.
Antonio Bigfoot Silva, Josh Barnett, Frank Mir, Roy Nelson, and now you gotta look at it, Stipe Miocic. At the light heavyweight division, you have to look at it. Patrick Cummins, that wasn't really a big fight because, well, it was a big fight for him, but it was a replacement fight. Dan Henderson, that, again, not really a 205 guy. Anthony Johnson, again, started his career off at 170. Alexander Gustafsson, you could say that was a big win, even though it was a split decision. Anderson Silva, again, that guy that has moved up in weight. Anthony Johnson, again. Volkan Ozdemir, was he completely deserving of that title shot? And then John Jones twice, where he lost twice to him. It's interesting. His heavyweight competition is so much better than the competition that he's been given at the light heavyweight division.
That's why, part of me, if I'm him, you want to go through it. All right. Listen, Solo Polelli, whatever. Even Antonio Silva, whatever. Josh Barnett, Frank Mir, Roy Nelson. Those heavyweights alone. Are, that puts you on par. Now he's going to drop down to light heavyweight. He's supposed to fight Rashad Evans. Evans gets hurt, blows out his knee. Fights Patrick Cummins. Nonsense. Fights Dan Henderson. If you watched that fight and you saw the way he literally picked up Henderson and fucking threw him around like a rag doll, not a real fight. Blatant weight difference. That's all that is. Supposed to fight Jones. Jones Torres meniscus. Nothing. Fights Jones, loses. Anthony Johnson subs him out. Ryan Bader, no. Alexander. Daniel Cormier's legacy may go down, as crazy as it might sound to everyone else. His battles with Alexander Gustafsson. I want to say this now because that first fight was amazing. A fantastic fight. 5 rounds, 25 minutes. He won by split decision. Mm-hmm. If they fight again, and it's equally as, listen, the 2 titles, amazing. But those Alexander Gustafsson fights, another way that Cormier can do something that Jones didn't. Jones and Cormier's toughest fights were both against who?
Gustafsson.
Alexander Gustafsson. If Cormier goes back, defends his light heavyweight title, does something that a champ has never done.
Yeah.
Defends both. That is career defining.
That brings me to my next question now that we're done with the whole card. We have Daniel Cormier, who is now champion of light heavyweight and the heavyweight division. We have the situation where it was completely pro wrestling, and Daniel Cormier called out Brock Lesnar, who just showed up to the... What's that?
I'm timing you out.
Okay.
Brock Lesnar and Daniel Cormier doing what they had to do on Saturday night was genius.
Yeah.
Genius. I'm in the process of writing a piece about how everyone needs to get over the fact UFC is WWE. I'm in the process of writing that. When that's up, I will post that everywhere. What I will say right now. Everyone loved what happened on Saturday night.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you thought it was fake, even if you thought it was bullshit,
it was
even
all
if you were oh my God, how fake is that?
You watched it.
You loved it.
Yeah.
And you are waiting for it. What I don't like is 18 hours later, Daniel Cormier, a man who's smart, a man who gets it, goes on the Ariel Helwani show and says, hey, I'm fighting Brock Lesnar. It may not be next. My next fight might be against light heavyweight. I'll fight Shogun Hua.
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding? Are you fucking kidding? What does that do for you? Why would you even say that name? It does nothing. It's a joke. It's atrocious.
Yeah, that I mean, Shogun, who has been around forever, but if you look at the rankings, he is the number 8th ranked light heavyweight. It doesn't make any sense at all. It's Alexander Gustafsson. That's who the fight has to be against.
Alexander Gustafsson or John Jones.
Yeah.
That's it. Why in the world would you ever, someone who number one, has never achieved what he should achieve in the UFC, in my personal opinion. Number 2, who's fighting Anthony Smith, who is one of the hungriest, I think most deserving light heavyweights since moving up. They're fighting in Hamburg on July 22nd. Anthony Smith has just as equal of a shot of knocking Shogun out as vice versa. Why even put that name in your mouth? Why?
It doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense. Why do that?
He might be thinking just big name That's it. He might not even realize he's ranked 8th.
I'm sorry. I just don't. You could have named Jimmy Manuel. You could have named Glover Teixeira.
Could have said Yoel Romero.
Ozdemir, Alexander Gustafsson, John Mother Truckin' Jones.
Could have said Yoel Romero.
Luke Rockhold for all I care.
Isn't Luke Rockhold
he's moving up to light heavyweight as well. But even Yoel Romero, to your point, when at 225, that question was asked by a fan. Are you going to knock out Daniel Cormier at the open workouts?
Oh, really?
Yeah. And Yoel Romero laughed and said maybe because they have their history in international wrestling. Anyone, literally any of the people I just named were a better choice of Mauricio Shogun Rua. Terrible. You have such a great understanding of the game, Daniel Cormier. You do such a good job throughout. And then you cap it off with this. Come on, man. You're better than that.
Yeah,
You're better.
It was very
disappointing. He said he's retiring in 2019.
Yep.
He's looking to just wrap it all up. My eyes, you have two
fights.
Maybe 3.
I would say most likely it's going to be
My
2.
eyes, this is what's going to happen, Daniel Cormier. Daniel Cormier is going to fight the end of this year against whoever the fuck. Doesn't matter. Shogun. Early 2000.
Don't say Gustafsson. Let's say Gustafsson.
No, well, if it's Gustafsson, it's different.
Okay.
But if it's Shogun, I don't think the UFC is going to throw him that because the UFC wants to keep building him up. So they're going to throw him Shogun. He's going to dominate Shogun. Early March 18, he's going to fight
March
Lesner.
19.
Or, I'm sorry, 19. He's going to dominate Lesnar. And then summer of 2019, retirement fight after beating Brock Lesnar, after being a defending light heavyweight,
fights John Jones,
heavyweight champion. He fights John Jones at heavyweight. Not at light heavyweight. That's the difference. Heavyweight. That's the caveat. At heavyweight, after Jones finally gets cleared. And that is the closing to one Daniel Cormier's career, which is one of the most intriguing a movie could be made about Daniel Cormier's career and his life.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you know, but his biological father was murdered.
Yep.
By his stepfather when he was a child. His own child they were driving down the road. And his biological child with the child's mother driving the car, crashed the car. His child died there. He has just a very crazy, in-depth story, what he's gone through, and that all correlates with the Olympics, missing all that. It's just insane. It really is just insane. That's the way that I envision his career ending.
So let me ask you this, Tim. If it does go all down the way that you just said, where he fights at the end of the year, fights Brock Lesnar in, let's just say May or March.
February, Super Bowl show.
Yeah. Yep. So, see if that goes down, and if he does fight John Jones at heavyweight, not light heavyweight.
Yep.
How does that fight play out in your head?
Oh.
Is it different being at the heavyweight division rather than the light heavyweight division?
There's so many questions there, Josh. Especially, listen, I'm predicting a fight that's essentially a year away, and non-existent for a guy who's not even.
Well, let's think this.
No, I'm gonna answer your question.
If Cormier
at heavyweight,
say Cormier beats Lesnar,
Cormier will beat Lesnar, no problem. It won't be close. Cormier will beat Lesnar without even getting winded. Brock Lesnar is not a good MMA fighter. He's not.
Yeah.
And what does Brock Lesnar fall back on? When
wrestling.
He's wrestling. We saw that in the Mark Hunt fight.
Exactly, yeah.
Can he do that against Daniel Cormier? Absolutely freaking not.
No.
He's going to get there. He's going to try to trade, and it's not going to play out, and he's going to get taken down, and he's going to get dominated. Brock Lesnar will lose 50-45.
Pick a winner. Cormier, Jones, heavyweight.
John Jones.
All right. Will that put a complete blemish on Daniel Cormier's career then?
Absolutely not.
No. All right. Fair enough. Stipe Miocic, he's came out and said that he would like a rematch against Daniel Cormier. We don't see that possibly happening. Stipe, his next step is against Curtis Blades.
Man, honestly, just with what I know within that camp, first and foremost, Curtis Blades will be moved up to number 1.
Yeah. Stipe probably 2.
Stipe should be 2, with Cormier being the champion. Honestly, I think the better bet there is doing Stipe versus Volkov.
Okay.
And
what does Blades do?
With Blades? Do Blades versus Lewis. That's the most marketable and the fight. Because listen, they want Stipe to still be there.
Yeah. They don't want him to have back-to-back losses.
You're talking about building up a guy for potentially over a year from now, like next fall, to fight for the title.
Yeah.
Ngannou moves out because he lost. Blades moves up. Miocic, you don't want him to lose. In my opinion, Blades versus Miocic is a title fight. Like, that's it. Miocic's takedown defense versus Blades takedowns, and I just don't think that they want to do that. They want to continue to build both guys up. So how do they do that? They throw Miocic versus Volkov, and thinking that Miocic is going to be able to stand and bang and finish Volkov, and they throw Blades versus Derek Lewis, pending his back.
Do they maybe run Ngannou and Blades again?
No,
not
right now. There's no point. But I'll tell you right up from my knowledge and from my knowledge with their camp, Blades' camp will not do that.
No.
They have no. Why would they?
Yeah, no.
A guy on a 2-fight losing streak.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
You've dominated everyone. Think of how crazy this is. I've seen some gifs out there, but I mean, fuck, man. Blades just went out there, impressively bloodied up.
Yeah.
Alistair Overeem dominated Mark Hunt after getting rocked early. Who's getting the next title shot? Brock Lesnar.
Of all people.
Who last loss was against Alistair Overeem. Who last win was against Mark Hunt when he was roided up. There's too much there. Absolutely not.
Fair enough, man. It's going to be very interesting to see how this all unfolds. So it'll be a crazy next couple of months. I'm very intrigued to see what happens with one Curtis Blades, who he's going to fight next. Just going to be very interesting overall. So, kind of want to talk about some of the stuff that's been going on outside of the fights, but just kind of, there was a funny story that I came across. Artists sculpted a Conor McGregor statue for his 30th birthday.
Saw that.
Did you hear why he did it?
No.
So the reason behind it, where's the reason at here? Here it is. So he goes, "It's up to you what you see in it. You can see him as a prisoner, or a god, or just a person." That's what the sculptor said. How fucking weird is that?
You know, sometimes sculptors do sculptor things.
Also, one of the fights that we did not get to see on the card was T-City versus the Blessed Era, Max Holloway. What did you think about the fact that Brian Ortega was offered a fight with Jeremy Stephens? He turned it down, obviously. We kind of talked about it before. And then they offered the interim fight between Frankie Edgar and Jeremy Stephens, and Frankie Edgar's family talked him out of it. What do you think about that?
I'm glad it happened. I do not want to see any of that unfold. I don't want Ortega to take a fight that he's not ready to take. I don't want Edgar to do something that he's not ready to. He already did that.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, that's how I envision this all going down, is Edgar's team saying, "You just did that, and look what happened." I'm glad it all played out the way that it did, in all honesty.
Yeah, same here. I think it's tough, too, because the question is, when is Max Holloway going to come back? Right?
It is $1 million question.
When do you think he'll come back? Do you think it's going to be 4 months until we see him? Do you think it's going to be 8?
Honestly, I hope it's 8. Really, I mean, we're in July right now, so 8 months puts us like March, April of next year. That's right. Earliest, very, very earliest I want to see Max Holloway is the Super Bowl show, 2019.
Super Bowl show?
Yep.
All right. Did you want to talk about the Contender Series real quick before we end everything?
Sure, go ahead.
You don't have it pulled up?
No, you're getting ready to talk about them. What do you want to tell you?
Well, give us some recaps.
All right, God damn it, Josh. You bring all this stuff up here. Hold on. All right, I got it. 720. What are we at here? 7 something or other. Listen, the Dana White Contender Series has been crazy this year. To be honest, there's been 14 out of 15 finishes. Been absolutely absurd. Week 4 after the 4th of July break started this week, and you had some big names out there. Kevin Aguilar was the headliner against Joey Gomez. Let's start with the beginning. Jalen Turner versus Max Mustaki. An awesome fight, which I thought Jalen Turner looked unreal. Dominant. Max, to be fair, was extremely tough. Did not back down at all. After the first round, it ended up being a doctor stoppage. So you never like seeing a doctor stoppage in order to get you to the finals. But Jalen Turner deserved better. He did not get a contract. He should have. I think it's embarrassing for the UFC to let someone like Turner go. Second fight, the only flyweight fight in 2018. Jordan Espinosa versus Riley Dutro. Espinosa was dominant. Ends up getting the finish. Very end of the third round. Gets the contract. Props to him. He should have. Ricky Palacios earns a unanimous decision over Toby Meisch. He didn't get a contract. He shouldn't have. Props to Palacios. I've been following him for a very, very, very long time. He's a former combate fighter. He's been on a monster win streak. He was supposed to compete in their big tournament, and didn't make weight. So there's a lot of different storylines there. But what can you do? His last fight was at lightweight. This fight was at featherweight. He made weight just fine. So when it comes down to it, Ricky Palacios is a very good fighter. I truly expect to see him in the future. Bevan Lewis, the other contract winner, finishes the fight against Alton Cunningham. Viennese, 6-0. He was signed previously when he fought... who did he fight, Josh? I'm sorry. He fought Elias Urbina last year. Got the win there. Went back, fought Cullen Hucklebody at LFA 38. Got that victory. He finally gets himself a UFC contract. And then the main event, like I said, is Kevin Aguilar versus Joey Gomez. Aguilar, tough fight. To be perfectly honest, I thought Aguilar lost. Big Kevin Aguilar fan. I thought he lost that fight. But the judges disagreed. He won the split decision, improved to 15-1. He's gonna need another victory to get in the house. It just sucks that this is what I don't want to say even don't like, but before this he was coming off of a so crazy impressive knockout victory over Tan Lee in May, like just a lay him out type knockout victory. Right in line, takes this instead and gets beat up a bit, beats the guy up a bit. Nothing comes of it. So I don't know. This is the part that I don't like.
What do you mean?
That he has such an impressive victory.
And he doesn't get
his
the
last
contract?
fight is forced to go on the Contender Series, and now what?
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to call him maybe late replacement. Best case scenario.
Yeah, we have talked about the Contender Series though, and it is one of your favorite things, right? That the UFC is putting it out, and I agree. If you guys haven't been watching it, you should do so. It's all very interesting. Some good stuff. Some good couple cards coming up next for the Contender Series. The one thing that we do like about it, and the thing that we've discussed about it, is the way the show flows, how it goes from one fight to another. I like it. I like it a lot better. That's just me personally. One fight after another. But yeah, some good fights coming up for the Contender Series. The next couple ones, I believe, July 24th, right?
Yep.
That's the new Nick Newell fight versus Alex Munoz. So that'll be a good fight.
July 17th first.
Yeah, July 17th first, but then that card is July 24th. So be on the lookout for those next couple of cards coming out. Anything else, Tim?
That's all I got, sir.
All right, man. Good talking to you. And as always, you guys can follow us on Twitter at PonyCakeSports and at FightTalkTim. You guys can always email us, MMANewsPodcast@gmail.com. And always check out the website, MMAnews.com, for Tim's articles, interviews, all that good stuff. And also check out our website, PonyCakeSports.com. Until next time.
Bye-bye.